Hello and welcome once again to Red Gaming Tech for yet more daily gaming news. Myself, Marta. This time I'm bringing you some news regarding Sony, the PS4 and Project Morpheus, which is of course their virtual reality project, as it was a rather hot topic at GDC 2014 this week. So basically these statements do come from the Sony R&D senior software engineer Anton Mikhailov, who discussed a few things, but basically was discussing how the Oculus Rift doesn't actually have the advantage in the VR sector, and talked about the project as well as a few details regarding the actual device and so on. So he said while speaking to Eurogamer at GDC, quote, "We're in this for the long haul, first of all. One thing people forget is that what they've seen from PS4 so far have been the launch titles. If you look at the difference in quality between PS3 launch and PS3 end of life cycle, the quality difference is massive. The advantage of fixed hardware is, while it doesn't revise every year, developers continuously find new tricks to employ because it is a fixed platform. There's a duality there. What you're seeing currently is a pretty compelling VR experience, and those are tech demos that haven't been optimized by top game studios. I think we're in a good place. The Castle and the Deep, those are running on PS4. Eve, Valkyrie and Thief are running on PC. They're special builds for Morpheus, but I think you can get a sense of what's possible with the PS4 with the Deep and the Castle, both of which are running at 60 frames per second and actually higher than 1080p in some cases. Now, games with high refresh rates, as Mikhailov said just now with the Castle and the Deep, are fairly important for virtual reality, and he doesn't actually perceive any issues preventing higher frame rates. Now, Eurogamer did of course question Mikhailov on the Thief demo for the project. He actually asked how a game, this is Eurogamer of course, they asked how a game which struggles to reach 30 FPS on PS4 will actually do on the VR headset. This is of course Eurogamer's question. Now Mikhailov responded, quote, "The build we have for Thief is running at 60 FPS, but it's a PC build, so it's not really a comparison. But the Deep and the Castle are both running at 60, and there's other games on PS4 that are graphically intense that are running at 60. Really 30 or 60 on PS4 is more an aesthetic choice than a technological choice. Of course you can squeeze in more graphics at 30, and there's no doubt you have to double the frame time. The reality is that when you're rendering VR, a lot of the details that traditionally get done in games like post effects, motion blur, they're not needed. Things like that, a lot of lens effects, a lot of the distortions people do, they're quite expensive to do in post. You don't need these in VR because you're trying to make a more believable world. So a lot of what people do in current games are camera artifact effects, vignetting, film grain noise, so you save a lot of processing power there, first of all. There's also another belief that people think it takes twice the power to render stereo. That's not true because your physics, your AI, everything runs once when you're rendering stereo, and a lot of the graphics even only run once. For example, shadow computations can be reused from eye to eye, so it's not really a 2 times jump from going from mono to stereo. I think it's quite feasible to run 60 in stereo for Morpheus on PS4. Now, of course, Project Morpheus is still in the development stages, and Sony unfortunately hasn't announced when dev kits will be available, just as they've said that they'll be out fairly soon. So a little bit more information there from Anton Mikhailov, of course, the senior R&D software engineer. No huge groundbreaking, that's the word I was looking for, piece of information regarding the Project Morpheus or anything like that, but still some nice info about what we can expect. Now, he does have some good points regarding the post effects. Now, when you actually say, for example, messing about with the graphics options for the PC, there are certain things which are very taxing and will tank the frame rate quite a lot. Shadows is one of them. Lens flare, it depends on the game, I think, to be honest, but definitely dust particles, film grain, any post effects do actually affect the frame rate quite significantly, and usually when you have to turn the graphics settings down because you're using a lower end computer or what have you, it will be shadows and things like that go first rather than the actual texture quality itself. So he does have a fairly decent point there, but of course we just don't know what's going to happen with this technology yet. It's really hard to say what's going to happen when it's not even been released in sort of beta to developers yet, so I'll reserve judgment, but I'm definitely intrigued about this and, of course, the Oculus Rift. I'm really curious to see exactly where VR goes. I think it's definitely an interesting way for gaming to go, and I will be keeping close eyes on both projects. Anyway, that is me done for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.